Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Hey, super friends, Jake here with the Brave and the Boys, and I know I said I was done hauling, but y'all wanted me to haul again. So we had literally like 50 plus comments on the last haul video saying that you guys loved hauls. But we ran a poll on our channel this week, and over 300 of you voted to bring hauls back, even if they're a little bit smaller. So let's dive in. Okay, guys, this feels amazing to be back. Coming up first, we have the Marvel section. So this Marvel section is definitely going to be themed to a couple key themes. The first one is Daredevil. Daredevil is Marvel's Batman, only he might be cooler, and he is just such a rad character. I want to own everything, even the bad Omnis of Daredevil. So up first, we have Daredevil Volume 3. And for those of you who don't know, and for you new readers out there, you should maybe not read this yet. You should probably start with Frank Miller and above, or more recent stuff like Bendis or Brubaker, Mark Waid. I mean, Daredevil has a litany of amazing Omnis, and I want the mediocre and the bad ones. So Daredevil Volume 3 is the Silver Age stuff. It's the oldest Daredevil that I own currently. I got to get volumes 1 and 2 when they come back into print someday, or, you know, because I'm sure they'll cycle back around. But someday I hope to own a complete run of Daredevil. So in these ones, I think you get to see him battle the Stilt Man and a bunch of other wacky Silver Age characters. I don't know if he's yellow Daredevil or if he's a different color, but you know what? I'll find out. As you may or may not know, Jordan is doing a read-through of the entirety of Silver Age Daredevil, so you can see his reviews on a lot of stuff coming up soon. Me, I got a long way to go before I read that Volume 3. Up from that, it doesn't get much better. So, Shadowlands. What is Shadowlands? Shadowlands fills in the gap between the Brubaker Omnis and the Mark Waid Omni, and it also is the giant event that has a lot of tie-ins. And I heard near mint condition or very fine condition, as I'm contractually obligated to say, the only good tie-in of Shadowlands is the Daredevil issues. So I've heard a lot of mediocre things about this event. Why did I get it? Because for so long I've had a gap on my bookshelf, and now I get to fill that gap, which is awesome. And then finally some amazing Daredevil. What I've been wanting to read for such a long time, we finally got the first volume of Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, which is supposed to be absolutely incredible. I'm going to put up some images from it. I cannot wait to read it. And that is our Daredevil section for now. Moving on from that, though, we go to a Star Wars section. So you could probably pull up a previous video where I swore off buying non-canon Star Wars books. But you know what? I'm back at it again. Tales of the Jedi. This is even older than Old Republic. So these are the early issues of the Jedi. The cover is dope. You got a big Jabba the Hutt, or a previous Hutt, and you got a Jedi facing off against him. And I love old school Star Wars history. Now, on a more recent note, I have the New Republic Volume 2. Now, New Republic Volume 2. I bought New Republic Volume 1 about a year ago because I wanted Volume 2. Volume 2 is where we get the comic adaptation of the Thrawn story, Heir to the Empire, which is supposed to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Star Wars novel ever made. It has Thrawn, who I grew to love and hate watching Rebels. So cool that there was a character so popular in non-continuity, they brought him into continuity. Now we're going to go to some bigger, larger size books. So you guys might remember from my last haul ever, which you can watch here, I got Hulk Gray. And all of you said, you got to get the rest of them. So I got Spider-Man Blue and I got Daredevil Yellow. So Daredevil Yellow, which you can see here, is supposed to be a story which was written, Matt Murdock was writing a letter to his deceased love, Karen Page, about his early days crime fighting. And it has, it's Jeff Loeb writing and gorgeous Tim Sale artwork, which you need Tim Sale artwork on the largest size possible. And we've been getting a lot of these books from Marvel since Tim Sale passed. Now we have Spider-Man Blue, which is kind of a similar theme. I guess Spider-Man's been feeling, you guessed it, blue since he lost his early love, Gwen Stacy. So he's like talking into a tape recorder about him and how him and Gwen fell in love. All I'm missing in terms of the color series is Captain America White, and I think they're coming out with a Gambit Wolverine one next year. But you know what? When I do get that Captain America White, maybe I'll do a solo video for these 4. I always wanted the Omni, but the Omni's been out of print for a super long time. And now I get them in a size even larger than an Omni. So these are Marvel's gallery size. Now, the last book I have was just given to me by OPB as a complete blind giveaway. So it is Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise by Thrad Moore. And I cannot tell you a single thing that this book is about, but I'll put up a montage of some art from it. It is probably the coolest art I have ever seen, and I've never read a Doctor Strange book, so I cannot wait to dive in. And now we're at the creator-owned or indie section of the video. So for you DC fans, you can skip ahead, I know you will, but for you who like a wide variety of books, I'm excited that I at least have some to show off. I do read some stuff besides DC and Marvel. So up first, we have one of my most excited books of the year. It is the Once in Future Deluxe Slipcase Edition Volume 2. Now, a lot of people, I know this got delayed for some of them because they were all came damaged apparently. And I said, you know what, give me the most damaged one you can. I'll take it for free. So mine's a little dinged up. But this is a modern day fantasy horror that blends Arthurian legend. So you got like King Arthur, but maybe he's a skeleton with a giant sword and giant snakes. And you have Beowulf, he shows up. And it is just a awesome book about Dan Mora art, which you cannot beat. Karen Gillan writing, which is also incredible. And it was one of my favorite surprise reads of the year last year. And was once I fell in love with Dan Mora, everyone said you have to read Once in Future. It might be some of the best Dan Mora art I've ever seen, and I cannot wait to dive into this. Then another random book that was thrown into me by OPB, shouts out to them, save $2 with the code Braveboys. They sent me a book from Titan Comics, so this is my first book from Titan Comics, and it is Noir Burlesque. This seems like your classic noir thriller, so there is a bandit named Slick, and there's double crossing, and there's betrayals, and there's burlesques, I'm assuming, revenge, and it just seems like all the good stuff your dad would love in a movie, all in one comic book with awesome art, so I'm excited to dive into that. But I'm going to be honest, it wasn't one I picked, but one that they thought I would enjoy, because I've been trying to read new things, and I haven't read a lot of noir crime thrillers, so I'm excited to jump into this one because it's supposed to be rad. And just a love letter to 1950s Hollywood. Then we have a book that was recommended to me by Bunk, and I never got it. And then was recommended to me by Omnidog, and I never got it. And then it was recommended to me by King of the V-Neck, Tyler from Illuminati himself. And you know what? After him, I got it. This is Zoe Thorogood's It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. And this book is supposed to be a masterpiece. So I might not be at the friendship level of Zoe Thorogood that Bunk is at, where he gives her a yam or a sweet potato every time he sees her at a convention, but I'm excited to read this. It is supposed to be an autobiographical tale of 6 months in her life when she dealt with self-isolation, depression, feelings like she wasn't good enough, like she couldn't create the art that she wanted to. And it uses mixed media and mixed art. So it's supposed to be just an absolute triumph. It's supposed to be her story, but I've heard it's incredibly relatable if you've ever dealt with those feelings. And I think any kind of content creator or artist feels those feelings of, you know, I'm not good enough, or feeling like self-isolating. So I'm sure I'm going to bawl like a baby and hide under a blanket when I'm done reading it. And it looks like a pretty fast read, so I'm probably going to read it before you even see this video come out. And then we got Geiger. So the other day we got an email from Ghost Machine, from a friend at Ghost Machine. Her name was Kat, and said, hey, you and Jordan are big comic book fans. I'm sure you know all about Ghost Machine. Would you like to interview the creative team? And I'm reading it. I'm like, I've never heard of Ghost Machine. And then she had a list of all the creators at Ghost Machine: Jeff Johns, Jason Fabuk, and Peter Tomasi, every amazing, Francis Manipul, every amazing comic book writer of all time all got together to create their own world under the imprint at Image called Ghost Machine. So Geiger was the first one, and it was so cool. And now they have other ones coming out called Junkyard Joe or a Rook Exodus. Like, there's so many, there's going to be horror, sci-fi. It's this whole shared universe where they can share characters, and you can just tell they're going to be fast tracked to be movies or HBO Max TV shows. But I went out and I bought some Ghost Machine comics and I read it and I fell in love. And I'm like, yes, I would love to cover Ghost Machine comics on our channel and I would love to interview creators. So you should see some Ghost Machine interviews coming up soon. So Geiger was the first deluxe edition that came out, and they did opt for the oversized deluxe size of the Rick Remender books. So I always love when Image comes out with these bigger than a DC deluxe edition. Geiger tells the story of how far a father will go for the love of his family and to protect his family. Only this time it's in a post-apocalyptic world after the nukes have gone off and there's mutants and nuclear people. And it is just an incredible story with the best art I have seen in a long time. And that's just, you know, I mean, you just can't beat the art of Jason Fabok. So this was a incredible read. I heard Junkyard Joe, which is the next one, is even better. And I am all in on Ghost Machines and I can't wait to interview them. So let's jump into the DC section. Now, what you were all waiting for, the DC section. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to go, oh my God, he's talking about Batman Absolutes again. And if that's the case, fast forward a little bit. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should pause right now, click the link and go to my every Batman Absolute ever video, because that video was a lot of fun to make. But we got 3 new Batman Absolutes. The first one is Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth by Grant Morrison and Dave McKean. And it is, as I said in my video, completely horrifying. When I tried to read it before that video, I had no idea what it was about. So luckily in this Absolute Edition, they give you a annotated script in the extras. And if you are watching this, we are running a giveaway. So go back to our Every Absolute Batman video and comment what your favorite Batman Absolute is, your favorite Absolute in general, and you can be entered to win the deluxe edition. But you kind of have to read the comic by itself, not know what happened, then read the annotated script while flipping back to the comic to see, oh, that's symbolism for the tarot, or that's symbolism for choices, or oh, that's why the Joker grabbed Batman's butt cheeks. So it is a weird book with horrifying art, and I am starting to fall in love with it. And then we got Absolute Batman and Son by Grant Morrison. This is totally to tee us up for the Batman Brave and the Bold movie coming out soon. We have had this in an Omni. Why they made an Absolute, I don't know, but I'm happy with it because I could look at this art all day, every day, and you get to see him meeting Damian Wayne in the Absolute format. And if you want to watch how to read all of Grant Morrison in Absolute Edition, you can watch that video here. And then, you know what? I forced Jordan to give me his copy of The Dark Knight Master Race because I couldn't wait 2 weeks for the reprint. Yes, this book is out of print. It is getting reprinted in 2 weeks. And I buttered him up. I said, hey, you can get the brand new copy. You won't have a ding on it. And then I don't have to wait. And you know what? He was a nice enough friend where I gave him some books and he gave me this one. Master Race. This was written by Brian Azzarello and Frank Miller, though I think Frank Miller disowned it and it's just considered Brian Azzarello now. But there's definitely a lot of Frank Miller in this book, and it has controversial covers. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can see that in our Every Batman Absolute video. That might have been the most risque joke I've ever put in. You have art that is better than Strikes Again, but not by much. And you have Superman's daughter, who looks like a block that is melting, doing her thing and not being very happy. So that is our Absolute section. Moving on. We have Nightwing Year 1. Now, Nightwing Year 1, you're going to see on here twice because I'm a maniac, but this is the Chuck Dixon and the Scott Beatty with Scott McDaniel art. Now, you guys know I wasn't a huge Scott McDaniel fan, but he actually is starting to grow on me. I think I'm getting more used to it. So we have the Nightwing Compendium, which is awesome Nightwing stories. We have Nightwing Deluxe Year 1. And if you want to know where to start reading Nightwing, you can watch that video here. But I love both of these. Then, as a special little treat from our sponsors, Organic Price Books, they gave me the Robin Tim Drake Compendium. I don't know anything that happens in this run other than I'm assuming Robin and Tim Drake's in it. And you know what? I'm going to say it here. Tim Drake is the best Robin. Now, I like Dick Grayson, but he's Nightwing. I like Jason Todd, but he's Red Hood. Damian, not a big fan, but Tim Drake is great because his whole thing is he did the math. He figured out who Dick Grayson was, he figured out who Batman was, and he figured out that Batman is more effective when he has a Robin. And he's just like, you know what, I'm doing my shift. I'm going to be Robin for a period of time, and then I'm going to go off to college, and I'm excited to read these stories. But then a book that I'm super excited that came out, and you know what? Maybe there'll be an overview before this comes out. Maybe the overview will be after. But they reprinted Batgirl Year 1, Robin Year 1, and Nightwing Year 1 in a box set called the Bat Family Year 1 box set. And I'm excited for that. And honestly, hot take, Nightwing Year 1 might be the worst. I think Robin Year 1 is the second better, and Robin learned some valuable lessons. But Batgirl, oh my God, was I invested in that story. And how did it make me care about Killer Moth and Firefly, two villains I have never cared about? Because they really parallel the story in an interesting way where her dad doesn't want her to be a cop. Batman doesn't want her to be a vigilante. And, you know, everyone underestimates Barbara Gordon, and she has to work twice as hard and probably doesn't get paid as much as Robin, probably 3 cents on the dollar. So moving on, we got another girl team, which was Kelly Thompson's Birds of Prey. And this is the Target exclusive cover hardback. So I think if you want to buy this in a hardback, you have to get it from Target. And oh my God, I love this run. And big announcement, we will be interviewing Kelly Thompson come October to talk about Powerpuff Girls and how she broke my heart with Black Widow. So in this run, you have Black Canary, Harley Quinn, Big Barda, and a couple other heroes. They all come together to rescue Black Canary's younger sister from an Amazonian prison. So they have to break in and fight Amazonians. And yeah, it's as awesome as it sounds. I mean, you never thought you'd see Big Barda and Harley Quinn and Black Canary on the same team, but it was rad. And then moving on from that, we have Superman Smashes the Klan. Now, I did talk about this as one of my favorite Superman stories ever. You can watch that video here on 5 Amazing Superman Stories, but it is a modern retelling of the old radio cartoon, or not cartoon, but radio broadcast, where Superman battled the Klan and helped the Lee family assimilate and help himself assimilate. Because Superman also is an immigrant. So I loved it. It was endearing, and it was an incredible Superman story that everybody should read. And then we got not one, not two, but all 4 of the new DC Compact editions. So there was Wonder Woman Earth 1 done by Grant Morrison, and it's a modern retelling in the Earth 1 universe. Then there's Batman Hush, which, I mean, come on. Who needs to see Jim Lee's art in an absolute format when you can see it smaller than a regular comic book? And Jeff Loeb's writing. And then you got Superman, All-Star Superman, and Far Sector. Far Sector is like a murder mystery in space, a little whodunit. And I think it won an Eisner. And All-Star Superman, it's probably the most famous Superman story ever written. So if you guys want me to do a separate wave 2 on the compact editions, let me know, because we should cover them in more detail. And for that one fan who always gets mad at me, All-Star Superman is the quintessential Superman story. And if you want the quintessential Supergirl story, we have Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, soon to be a major motion picture. And I told myself I wasn't going to upgrade. I got my trade paperback signed by Tom King. And what did I do? I upgraded. Because the Bilquis Evely art is to die for, and maybe some of the coolest stuff I have ever seen. And you know what? I will buy the Absolute. I will buy the Gallery. I will buy the Artist Edition. I will buy every format of this book. If there's a compendium, you know, anything they come out with, I'll buy it because I love it so much and I cannot wait for the movie. And now we're on to the DC Omnibus section. Coming up first, we have Justice League Dark Rebirth, which, hot take, if you're deciding between the New 52 Justice League Dark or the Rebirth, Rebirth wins hands down. However, I do own both. I don't know why. I don't even really particularly like New 52 Rebirth, but I read digitally now, so I would have known that. So, you know what? It is what it is. Rebirth, I read in single issues, and I loved it, and I loved it here. I love in the beginning when Wonder Woman, she realizes she's more magical than she thought. She has more magical ties, and she joins the Justice League Dark team. It is spooky. It is crazy, and I hope they make a movie someday. And then from there, we have Hitman, the story of Tommy Montague, a hitman done by Garth Ennis. And it's cool because my thing is Garth Ennis is incredible, but sometimes he goes too far. You know, Jordan's review of Crossed is coming out someday, and that's probably be when our channel gets canceled. But Garth Ennis, here he's in Gotham City, and he's kind of restrained, but oh my God, he tells a story about soldiers who have heart and friends of fortune. And you get to see Six Pack, who I fell in love with on the Harley Quinn show. And it was a book that, you know what, pretty rad. And then we have Batman and Robin Adventures. This is the sequel to the Batman Adventures. And you know what? Everyone's going to tell you it's not as good as Batman Adventures. But that doesn't mean Batman and Robin Adventures is not good. It just means it is good while Batman is great. But both of these feel like you're watching Batman the Animated Series. And it's just an awesome run. My favorite story in here was the missing year where you get Nightwing's origin story, and I loved it because you guys know how much I love me some Dick. Then we have The Flash by William Mesner Loeb, and this is a Flash run I haven't read before, but I think it's right post-crisis, so you probably got a young Wally struggling to come out of Barry's shadow, and he did a lot of different things. I heard the Porcupine Man shows up, and it's dope. But you know what? What I love is that we have another volume 1 of a Flash Omni, because we just keep getting volume 1s. But at least they made the spine match the Mark Waid one. It matches the Mark Waid one perfectly, and I wish more DC books did that. But you know what? I'm excited to read it. It's going to be maybe a little bit of a dense read, but I'm going to try to read it in the coming weeks and do an overview for you guys. And last but not least, we have the new Teen Titans. Why did I buy this? I bought this because I've wanted it for so long, but volumes 2, 3, and 4 have been out of print for what feels like forever. You can get volume 5, you can get volume 1, and I always told myself I could never buy them because the other ones were out of print. But now I read digitally, so I can read the stories of Robin and Changeling and Raven and Wonder Girl, and I can love them becoming a team and then becoming a family. And when volume 2 gets reprinted someday, I don't have to wait because I can read it digitally. I've already been reading it digitally, and it's so freeing to not have to pay out of print prices and to not feel like I can't collect a book. I just wish I would have bought it earlier because I met Marv Wolfman this year, and I would have loved to get it signed like I got some of my other books. But you know what? Maybe I'm just being greedy. So thank you all so much for watching. Let's jump into my final thoughts. And sadly, that brings us to the end of this haul, but thank you so much for watching to the end. I want to give a huge shout out to our Discord. We have an awesome community that's growing more and more each day. We do book clubs, and it's a great place for new and old comic book fans alike. I want to give a huge shout out to Organic Price Books, where we grabbed a lot of these books from. Our discount code is linked down below, but as always, Brave Boys to save $2 or Braveboyssit on 4 or more books to save 5%. And lastly, if you want to support us and help make videos like this possible, we do have a Patreon. We ask for $3 a month, but you know what? That's cheaper than a single issue of a comic book or a coffee, and it helps keep the lights on here. Thank you all so much for watching. You are the best viewers in the world and the best friends in the world. Keep reading and stay brave.